She had just gotten home from a long day at work. At that moment, she couldn't have been happier to be home. She was a bit hungry, so she decided to make something quick to eat. She went into the kitchen, took out a pot, filled it with water, and started to boil it. Then she took out a package of ramen from the cupboard. She waited patiently for the water to boil, and when it was ready, she added the ramen to the boiling water. It didn't take long for her dinner to cook, and after preparing it, she put it into a bowl, and then she sat down and ate it. After she had finished eating her dinner, she washed the dishes before going into the living room. Before she sat down, she glanced around the room, and then she decided to decorate her home for the holiday. After she had finished that, she was about to head into the kitchen to make some popcorn when suddenly the telephone rang. She sighed before heading to the phone to answer it.
Hello?
There was no answer, only static and an unsettling tune playing in the background. She was overtaken with chills as she continued to listen to the tune. Thinking that it was a prank call or a wrong number, she was about to hang up the phone when suddenly there was a voice, a whisper that could barely be heard.
Don't run away. Please stay. Don't leave me. I need you.
Hello?
I need you. Don't leave me.
The whispering continued.
I can't hear you. You need to speak up.
Don't leave me. Please stay. Don't run away.
The person on the other end continued to whisper, so she hung up the phone. She shook her head as she headed into the kitchen. Just as she was about to make some popcorn, there was a knock on the door.
What now?
She reluctantly left the kitchen to answer the door. When she answered the door, there was no one there. She closed the door and went back into the kitchen to make some popcorn. After the popcorn had been prepared, she went into the living room to watch some television. Before sitting down, she grabbed the remote. Then she turned on the television after she sat down, but there was only static. She flipped through the channels, but it was the same thing. She decided to turn off the television, but it would not turn off. Suddenly, there was a tune playing. It was the same unsettling tune that she heard on the phone. There was also whispering that was similar to the phone call. Then words appeared on the screen. Then big bold words appeared on the screen. Something started to appear on the screen. She couldn't take it anymore, so she rushed over to where the television was plugged into the wall and pulled the plug.
That was creepy. I'm going to bed.
After getting ready for bed, she laid down and tried to relax after the long day that she had. She was about to fall asleep when suddenly there was a sound coming from one of the other rooms.
What now?
She reluctantly got up from the bed and checked her home for any intruders, but there was no one else there. She sighed with relief before going back to bed. Following morning, as she entered the living room, she noticed something peculiar. It was a package, a large gift sitting next to the Christmas tree.
What? Where did this come from?
She looked for a tag or something that would reveal where it came from. She spotted a label, but there was no name on the label. Instead, there was a message on it. She scoffed, and then she shook her head.
Right. Whatever that's supposed to mean.
Just then, the telephone rang. She sighed before making her way to the phone, and then she answered it. There was no one there, at least, not at first. It was only static, and then the ominous tune started to play. Then there was the sound of whispering.
Don't run away. Don't leave me. I need you. Please stay. If you leave, I'll never forgive you. If you leave, I'll never forgive you.
Stop it!
The whispering continued as the creepy tune played.
Stop calling me!
The whispering continued.
Never forgive you.
Leave me alone.
She hung up the phone and then she walked away, heading back into the living room where the mysterious gift was. As she entered the room, she noticed that the package had been opened.
What? It's empty.
Suddenly, there was the sound of footsteps. Knowing that she wasn't alone, she rushed to the door and tried to open it to escape, but it wouldn't open. She discovered that the door was jammed, so she rushed to the phone to try to call for help, but she discovered that there was no dial tone. She rushed upstairs to one of the rooms to try to find something to use to escape. As she glanced in the mirror, she spotted someone else in the reflection. Before the stranger had the chance to take hold of her, she knocked him down and then she rushed out of the room. She rushed downstairs to get the keys, and then she tried the door, but it still wouldn't open. She grabbed a chair and used it to break the nearest window, and then she climbed out. She ran to her car as quickly as possible. She got into the car, started it, and then she left her home, not looking back. She was thankful to escape the terrifying intruder that was in her home. She drove on for several hours, hoping that he was not trying to find her. She continued to drive on for most of the day, only stopping to refuel her car. At one of the stops, she asked to use the phone so she could call the police. She told them about what had happened. She hoped that the creepy stranger would be found and apprehended so she would never have to worry about him ever again. It was later in the evening when she decided to stop somewhere to rest. She figured that she would be far enough away that he would not locate her. She stopped at a motel where she decided to spend the remainder of the day. After getting the key, she unlocked the room and went inside. She decided to make a phone call to the police to see if the intruder had been captured. When she tried to use the phone, she discovered that it had no dial tone. She hung up the phone and then she spotted a little note. Thinking that it was left there by the owner of the motel, she picked it up and opened it. Tension rose inside her as she read the words that were written on it. Her heart raced and pounded in her chest as she turned around and found him standing in the room, looking right at her. She took a step back, and before she had a chance to get away, he quickly made his move, and then he took hold of her. He whispered softly into her ear,
Don't leave me. If you leave, I'll never forgive you.
Then he took her away.
you.